guys, so today we're going to be talking about combining like terms or combine like terms. This is going to be the starting point of our unit on expressions and beginning talking about equations. So what we're going to do first is I want us to first talk about just a few definitions when we're talking about combining like terms. So the first word we're going to talk about is the word. Sorry, I'm trying to get this fixed. There we go. Oh, you can go ahead and copy that. Pause and copy that. Okay. So the first word we're going to talk about is expression. So get everything right. There we go. So an expression is a mathematical phrase that contains numbers, variables, and operations. Okay? So an example of an expression would be this. 4x plus 2x minus 3y minus x squared. Okay? This is an expression. The thing that differentiates an expression from an equation is expressions they do not have equal signs. Okay? Expressions do not have equal signs. Equations do have equal signs. So with an expression, it's not set equal to anything. We cannot solve an expression. We can simplify an expression, and we'll talk about that later in this unit, but we cannot solve an expression. Okay? We're not ever going to get x equals anything with this. We can just combine like terms and a couple other things, but like I said, we'll talk about later on. So, terms. Each of these things is a term. Okay, those are all terms. So each of these is a term. So when we talk about combining like terms, we're talking about putting these things together. And there's a certain way we have to look at that. So to combine like terms, our like terms have to have the same variable, and we all know what a variable is, a letter that stands for something or stands for a number. And they also have to have the same exponent. Okay, they have to have the same variable, they have to have the same exponent for them to be able to be like terms. Now, I want us to look at a couple more things before we start actually combining. So over here, I'm just going to write a term. Okay, a term. So, for example, let's do negative 2x. Okay, in that term, this negative 2 is called our, it's called a coefficient. A coefficient is a number that is attached to a variable. Okay, a number attached to a variable is called a coefficient. So this is a coefficient. Now, so So, for example, now then we have a number that is not attached to the variable. So, for example, positive 3. This is going to be called a constant. A constant is a number without a variable. It's just by itself. So that's called a constant. So we have a coefficient here. That -2 is a coefficient because it's a variable. And we have a constant here. Okay? All right. So let's start talking about this. When you guys did this in 6th grade, if you had Miss Clayton, then most of you would have looked at it like this. And this sometimes rings a bell that you guys have already done this. So what Miss Clayton does is she puts different shapes around the like or the common variables, or common terms, I'm sorry. So like this. So we see this as an x term. So anywhere we see an x term, we're going to put a circle around it. So I have one here. There's an x term. There's an x term. And that's it. So I put a circle around all my x terms, okay? Then I have constants. I'm going to go ahead and put a square or a rectangle around all my constants. So I have one here. Here's a constant. Here's a constant because it does not have a variable. And that's it. Then I have these other two. So this would be a x squared term. Now, we said it has to have the same variable and it has to have the same exponent. So with these, they don't have an exponent or one that we can see. They really have an invisible one there, but we can't really see that. So these have a 2, so these would be like terms. So I'm going to try to put a triangle. It's going to look not very cute, but okay, there we go. And it's supposed to go around the whole thing, even though it cut the exponent off. So just know that goes with it. Okay, so now I have grouped my terms. Now that I know, so I like to make a list with my like terms, okay? So I'm going to do that. I have a -2x. Okay, so I've used that one. I'm going to see, so all the rest of my circles, I have a -4x. Look for another circle. There's one, and a -15x. So I have grouped all of my x terms, okay? Next, I'm going to go to the constants. I have a +3. I have a +5, and I have a +11. Okay, so I have put those together. Now I have my x squared term. So I have a -4x squared, and I have a +2x squared. Okay, so I have now got that. So now, what I want you to think about is we need to now, all we do is our x's are going to stay the same here. Our variable is going to stay the same. So it's still going to be an x. All we do now is we combine our coefficients. So I have a -2, a -4, and a -15. And y'all, you are more than welcome to use those calculators for this. Okay, so when you combine those, I know this is a -6, and then a -15. It's going to be a -21. Okay, so that would be that term. That would be the combined terms there. I'm going to now put these together. They're all positive, so I'm going to add them all together. So it's going to be a +19. And then I've got a positive and a negative here. I have more negatives. My variable is still going to be x squared. I have a negative here, and then 4 minus 2, I would have a -2x squared. Now, what you would do after that is you are going to just put them all together. Now, they can be put together in any way, as long as all 3 of these terms are present. We do not combine these two because they don't have a like term. There's an x here, there's not an x here. We cannot combine those. We don't combine these two because it's an x squared. This is only an x, so we cannot combine those. Okay, so this is all we can combine. Now, the way that you will see most math teachers, math tests, things like that, put these is they put them in order. The exponents go in order from greatest to least. So what I mean by that, I'm going to put a note down here about that in a second. So I will put, this is the greatest. It's going to be -2x squared. Here's your next one. It's like I said, there's really like an invisible one there. It's going to be a -21x, and then we have a +19. So your exponents If you're doing it the right way, like I said, I will accept anyway, but when you get into higher math, they're going to expect it this way. Your exponents are in order from greatest to least. Okay? So this would be your answer for this problem. That's how you would leave it. Negative 2x squared minus 21x plus 19. Everything has been simplified. Okay? All right, let's look at this next one. I'm giving you a really big one, so we have lots of stuff to simplify, but they're usually not this big. So here's another one. So it's a big old expression. There's no equal sign, so we know it's an expression. Now, I'm going to show you how in 7th grade I step this up a little bit and show you how I teach you to combine it. It takes out one step. If you like circling, and you can also use different colors, like I could just circle in different colors. But if you like doing that, it's fine. If not, just do it this way. It takes out a little step. So what I'm going to do is I have I'm going to look for my different terms. So my first term, I'm just going to group them all in this little column right here. So this is going to be column 1. Okay. So let's see. I've got a positive x. What's in front of that x? So nothing in front of there. There's actually an invisible 1 there. So anytime you see a variable without something in front of it, there's actually an invisible 1. Okay. So I'm going to put that 1x just so we remember it. Okay. So I've used that one. I'm going to cross it out. Okay. Let me come to this one. Oh, look, that's the same variable as this. So I can put that in this column. So these are going to be my x terms. And I can cross that one out. Now, can this one go with these? No, because it's constant. It does not have that. So this is going to be column number 2. Column number 2 is going to be constant. So I've used that. Well, here's a negative y. Remember, there's an invisible 1 there, but it's a negative y. That's not the same as this, and it's not the same as this. So this is going to be a third group. So it's going to be negative 1y. I've used that. Negative 2, where would that one go? It's going to go in group 2. Okay. Negative 3x will go over here in group 1. Positive 2y is going to go over here in group 3. Negative 4 is going to go in group 2. And negative 3y is going to go here in group 3. Now, I have crossed all these out, which means I have sorted them all. Okay? It's kind of going back to kindergarten by sorting. That's basically what we're doing here. So let's combine these. All right, I have a positive 1 and a positive 2. We know our x is going to go here. Positive 1, positive 2 is going to combine to be 3, positive 3. And then I have a negative 3. Remember, positive 3 and negative 3 are opposites, so it's going to combine to be a 0. 0 goes there. Okay, and we'll talk about that in just a second. So let's combine these. I have a negative 9 and a negative 2. I'm going to combine those, and it would be a negative 11. Like I said, use your calculators on these. Negative 11 and negative 4 is going to be a negative 15. Negative 1, positive 2. Now, y'all know I like to combine the negatives or the ones with the same sign first. I'm going to combine these first. So I have a negative 3 and a negative 1. That's going to be a negative 4. We know our variable is going to be y. So negative 4 and a positive 2, that's going to be a negative 2. Okay, like I said, you use your calculators. Now, I'm going to put, and down here, I want us to write this little reminder. So, when we have different variables, like we have an x and a y this time, variables are going to go in alphabetical or ABC order, which means they just go in the way you say your ABC. So X comes before Y here, so X would go first. So it would be 0x, negative 2y, negative 15. All right? Now, this is what I want to point out. If we say 0, and we know when these are side by side, this is really 0 times x. 0 times anything is going to be 0. You will not see a 0x. It would be gone. Okay? It would disappear. So the real solution, or the real simplified, or we combine like terms for this, it's going to be negative 2y minus 15. And that would be your answer for this one. Okay, let's look at the last one. I'm going to once again do it in 7th grade order, or combine them in 7th grade way. So we would do, there's a 4x. So this will be this column. I have an x squared. That's going to be over here. I have a negative 3, which is here. I have a positive 2x. And we know this is positive. We know this is positive. I have a positive 4x. That's going to go in the 4, or the x squared. Sorry, 4x squared. That's going to go in its column. I have a negative x. That's going to go here. Remember, there's an invisible 1 in front of that. I have a positive 8, which would go here. And I have a positive 2x squared, which is going to go here. We've got everything taken care of. Now we're just going to combine them. So here I know my x is going to stay. I have a positive 4 and a positive 2. That would be a positive 6 and a negative 1, which would be a positive 5. Here I have a positive, we'll put a 1 there. Just remember, there's an invisible 1 in front of that, x squared. So our variable would be x squared, but we would have 1 and 4 and 2. We add all that together, it's going to be a positive 7x squared. And then we have a negative 3 and a positive 8. And if we combine those, that's going to be a positive 5. So let's go back up here. Remember, exponents are going to go in order from least to greatest. So my greatest one is going to be x squared. Greatest to least, sorry, y'all. So my greatest is going to be that 7x squared. We would then add the 5x plus 5. And that is your combined. There's no other like terms that you need to combine, and we can't combine any of those. All right, so we will do this together tomorrow, but that is how you combine like